Hello everyone, in this section we'll introduce FVS interaction. Below, I'll introduce the interaction events we can set up in 3 sections: chart component click event, carousel setting, 3D components. First, we introduce component click event. We suggest you have 8 ways to set up click events. They are component linkage, URL, pop-up box, JavaScript, page jump, show hide, 3D roaming animation, 3D model animation, custom 3D viewing angle. These 8 click events have detailed help documentation as well as sample templates for their operation. The following video will also introduce them in detail. Next, we introduce the interactive settings of monitor refresh. If we want to realize real-time data updating, and in some scenarios we want to achieve the effect of real-time monitoring, we can enable the monitor refresh setting. In this page of interaction settings, we can enable monitor refresh and set the refresh interval. Here is a simple operation demo. Open the designer, create a new blank template, click on the text, select the title component and insert a formula. Here we set a formula to get the time of day. Click OK. Then we can turn on monitor refresh under interactive settings. Here we set the refresh interval to 1 second. We can get a scrolling clock per second. After the introduction of chart component click event, we will continue to introduce you to carousel setting. Some components that can automatically rotate can set carousel events at a certain interval. Components that can be used for carousel settings include tab, scene map, carousel chart, fancy, tree. Next, we'll see how to set click event for 3D components. If it is a 3D component, you need to select the event object, that is, select the layer and then select the event type. The setting of each event is the same as the normal component. Then we learn about component linkage. In FVS templates, component supports click operations and passing parameters to link other components. The most common ones are linkage from table cell hyperlink and linkage from chart interactive event, which can be realized through table cell hyperlink and component linkage interaction event respectively. This section will briefly introduce the 2 types of methods. To realize these 2 interactions, we need to prepare first, define parameter and bind the components to it. You may wonder why we need to set up different dataset with parameter and dataset without parameter. This is because if we want to click on the chart, we need the chart to present a fixed set of general data. If it is bound to a dataset with parameter, then the data it presents will change as the parameters change. So if we need to change the linkage of the component, it needs to be bound to a dataset with parameter. After the preparation work, we need to set the parameter passing. Let's first learn about component linkage interaction events. Click on the chart to pass the parameters to the specified or global component to realize the data linkage effect. Note the scope of application, see FVS component interaction properties for details. Let's move on to a specific demo. Create a new big screen dashboard. First, we create a new database query DS1 without parameter. This SQL statement means to get all the data in the sales volume. Then we create a new database query DS2 with parameter. This SQL statement means to get all the data when the area parameter area is empty, otherwise get the data according to the area specific value. Next we add the chart component. We add a column chart, a pie chart, a title, and a table to page 1. Now start binding data to the chart. The pie chart is bound to the DS1 with no parameters, the series name is region and the value is sales volume. The column chart binds the DS2 with parameters. The category is called region, the series is called product, and the value is sales volume. The title content of the column chart clicks on FX to enter the formula, the area parameter plus the product sales, and it will subsequently display specific information based on the parameters. In the table of editing, we first set up the table of fields, region, product and sales volume, then we set up the parameters of the DS2 of the region, product, sales volume dragged into the cell. Here it should be noted that the sales volume of the field of the data to be modified to summarize the summation, and then we adjust the style of the table. Pay attention to the setting of the adaptive. Now pass parameter settings, select the pie chart, click on the right side of the Interaction Events Add Event, click Add a Component Linkage Event. The scope of linkage can choose global, that is, linkage of the components of the entire template. You can also choose to object. Here we choose column chart, title and table. Parameter name we want to correspond to the target parameter, that is, the area parameter. Parameter type selection of the component fields, you can also choose to custom content, custom formula. For the parameter content, we'll choose the series name, which corresponds to the region we just had. Click Preview and we can see that clicking on the region of the pie chart will display the corresponding product sales volume for that area. Next we will study cell hyperlink. If we want to click on the cell in the table to realize the linkage to other components, at present it can only be done through cell hyperlink dynamic parameter. This parameter linkage is valid for the whole template. It should be noted that dynamic parameter linkage will reorganize the entire template. If the template contains multiple pages, the template will be sent back to the first page. Now let's have a demo of it. The preparation work is the same as just now. Set the dataset DS1 without parameter and DS2 with parameter. Keep the column chart and title component. We just need to add a new table component. Edit the content of the component, enter the two fields of region and sales volume, drag in the data from the DS1. Here sales volume data we still want to set it up as a summary of the summation, adjust the style of the table, centered and then adaptive. Now we come to its passing parameter settings, click cell A2, add a hyperlink dynamic parameters. Parameter name and target parameters consistent with the area, and then set its value to the formula, enter $. The formula represents the output for the value of the cell. Then return to the dashboard. Click Preview. We click on the different areas, it will pass the parameter linkage out of the different areas of product sales. Then we introduce the third section, JavaScript event. FVS currently supports the following three typical JavaScript events: FVS table marquee, data point tooltip carousel and the FVS regular chart, switching carousel tab pages through custom button. Next we focus on three application scenarios. The first scenario, FVS table marquee. When there is multiple data in a chart to be displayed at the same time, turn on the scrolling effect to automatically play all the data. In version 1.7.2 and above, this can be achieved by the following steps. First, select the table component, then click Interaction Events, add event after initialization event in the right configuration bar. Then modify the event name and enter the JavaScript code shown. It should be noted that in the version before version 1.7.2, it can only be realized by adding JavaScript code through template page after load event. Please refer to the help documentation for details. Here is a demo. Create a new dashboard, select the table in the text component and configure it. Note that in order to make the table scroll with only the content and not the headings, we have to set up the repeat freeze headings. We select the freeze button in the upper toolbar and check the box as above. Next, we will start setting up the table block scrolling effect. Add event after initialization event in the interaction bar, write JavaScript code. It should be noted that here you need to change it to the name of the corresponding component. After the above steps, the report block scrolling effect has been set up. You can save, and then click Preview. You can see that the current table has been presented with a scrolling effect. Next we study data point tooltip carousel in the FVS regular chart. A chart has multiple data points. For example, if a national map has data from multiple provinces, it will appear very crowded if all labels are turned on. Turn on Data Point Tooltip Carousel can display all the data points and achieve a good display effect, which we can add the above JavaScript code at the top of the menu bar, template page after load event to achieve. Specifically, you can refer to the help documentation, the following demo of our specific operations. Click Chart Area Map in the component area, add it to page 1 and add data to it. Then we set the Data Point Tooltip Carousel. Click Template Event after page load in the top left corner and enter the JavaScript code. Here we are going to change this part to the name of our component. Click Save in the top right corner, then click Preview. Next, we will learn about switching carousel tab pages through custom button. Application scenario. The FVS Carousel Components tab only supports a few built-in styles and fixed 4 positions. Its style and layout cannot meet your demand for creation in various scenarios. So you can hide or show the component through JavaScript to get a better display effect. We use FVS title component to create buttons, add JavaScript click event to the title component, and set the tab component to display the corresponding tab page via showCardByIndex interface, and hide the component to differentiate between selected and unselected buttons by background. Here's a demo. Create a blank dashboard. Choose Container tab to add a tab component to the canvas. Add 2 more tab pages to the tab component and drag any component into the tab page. Select the tab component, uncheck Show Page Switching button and enable Auto Carousel. Add 3 title components and set the content to Tab 0, Tab 1, and Tab 2. Add 3 picture components and select a suitable background from My Resource as the background when a button is selected. Rename 3 picture components for easy identification. To achieve the effect that Tab 0 is selected by default, show Tab 0 selected background and hide Tab 1 selected background and Tab 2 selected background. We can do this. Select the title component Tab 0, choose Interaction click Add click Event JavaScript, and enter the JavaScript code. By this code, we only show the first tab of the corresponding tab component. Set the other 2 titles in the same way and modify the index of the corresponding tab page. Select the title component Tab 0, choose Interaction click Add click Event, click Show Hide, and set the component to be displayed or hidden. That is to show or hide the tab title background. Set the other 2 title components in the same way and change the objects to be displayed or hidden. Click Preview. Finally, we introduce the 4th section, Introduction to Widget Interaction. First of all, let's learn about the concept and type of widget. In the specific application of the report, we often do not need to present all the things in the report, but to filter out the data according to some conditions. So in Fine Report, we often bind parameters to widget to achieve dynamic filtering of data, to ensure that the user can query the data in real time. In FVS Big Screen Editing mode, the widget is added as a component to be used directly in page and supports 7 types of widgets, including FVS DateTime widget, FVS drop-down box, FVS button group, FVS text box, FVS drop-down tree, FVS view tree, FVS query, which can help users to realize a variety of interactive functions. Therefore, in FVS Big Screen Editing mode, the most practical function of a component is its interactive properties, linking other components. To realize component linkage by using widgets, you need to do the following steps. The first step is to define parameter, the second step is to bind parameter to the widget, the third step is to set widget events if you need more effects. In the first step, we have to set the parameter name and add the parameter. Here we usually use the dataset parameter. Create a new big screen template, query the sales volume table in the FRDemo data connection and set the area as a parameter, set the default value to New York. Step 2. Bind the parameter to the widget. Inputting or selecting values in the widget enables the widget to filter the data. Here we need to bind the parameter to the widget, and we may also need to bind the data dictionary. First we add a drop-down box widget. Since we have just set the parameter area to represent the region, we need to bind the parameter to the widget. Then we configure the corresponding data dictionary. Select the type setting as database table, select the database as FRDemo, select the database table as the sales volume, select value as region, and remove the duplicates, and set the default value to New York. Finally, we drag a column chart on page 1 and drag a bar chart on page 2. Click Preview. We can see that selecting a different value for the drop-down box widget refreshes the component and is valid for all the pages in the template. In addition, we have to pay attention to a few widget setting rules. First, same-named widgets are not supported in the same subpage. Same-named widgets are supported in different subpages to represent the same parameters. The value of a widget changes in any subpage, and the same-named widgets in other subpages also change. Here we copy a widget from page 1 on page 2, and change the value of the widget to California on page 2, then the default value of the widget in page 1 will be changed to California, and the same thing happens in the preview. If you want the widget to realize more interactive events, you can also add events in the interaction configuration panel of the widget. The events supported by the FVS widget currently include after initialization event, page after load event, click event. You can refer to the help documentation for the specific supported interfaces and usage. That's all.